Hey guys, June 7th, and this is where I'm sitting right now. It's at my best friend's house. I like to spend a lot of my days in summer here because, duh, look at it. It's so peaceful. And so I thought, instead of looking at my face, you should look at what I'm looking at while we're doing our Friday video today. So we're talking about what we read June 4th through June 7th, which was quite a lot. We read all of Song of Solomon and most of Ecclesiastes, and we even got some more First Kings and Second Chronicles in there. So, right? I think we did. So that's what we're talking about today. So remember to stick with me until the end of the video, where I'm going to give you some questions and encouragements to help you apply the stuff that was written thousands of years ago to your current life in this current culture. All right, so let's see. So Song of Solomon, can I just be honest with you? Song of Solomon is real hard for me because I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And at the same time, I'm like, they're talking a lot about physical attributes, and, you know, the woman in me is like, why don't you love her for her mind? But we have to remember that this is in the beginning stages of their romance, and weren't we all, if we are married, weren't we all like that when we first got married? And if you're still like that, you go, girl. But they were all like, you know, we were all like that in the beginning, where we just couldn't get enough of each other. And so, you know, we get to see them come together, and then we get to see them get married, and we even get to see their first argument when he comes to the door and she's like, I'm already in bed. Get out of here. And so we see all that. And so what I wanted us to get out of this, there's a million things we could pull out of this. But the first thing I want us to get out of it is, number one, let's not judge our relationship with whoever we have a relationship with against somebody else's marriage. Like, remember that we know everything about our relationship, and we only know the very public parts of somebody else's. And so, you know, people on the outside probably didn't know they had an argument and had a real relationship. And so it's very dangerous to start judging how great or not great our marriage is against somebody else's, because you have no idea what's really going on with them. So keeping your eyes just focused on the Lord and focused on your husband, that's the best. And then the other thing is, you probably noticed how she kept saying, promise me, O women of Jerusalem, not to awaken love until the time is right. And that is great advice. Just in the love category, because you can see how powerful this love is. And so if you're awakening it with somebody who's not your husband, that's hard. That's not good. And please don't hear any judgment, because I failed in that category myself. So there's no judgment there. But really, what it made me think is, what am I trying to awaken before it's time? Like, God has his perfect timing. He's not working on my schedule. He's working on his own. So what am I trying to force? What am I trying to awaken before I'm ready to experience? And so it's something good for us to start thinking about, is, you know, kind of sitting in the season that God has us in, or standing, or whatever, because God's timing is perfect, and we don't want to force something that we're not ready for. And then moving on to, I think that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Song of Solomon. Then we move on to hear the rest of Solomon's story, and, you know, we hear, oh, wait a minute, he had 700 wives and another 300 concubines. So this was obviously a weakness for him, and it straight up says that God told him not to do that because it would turn him away from God, and it ended up doing that. And so Solomon, who started out so well, really finished, you know, awfully. And so, you know, what I wrote out to the side was, Lord, I want to start and finish well. And so that's something for us to think about too, is let's not just start well. Let's not just be really excited about walking with God, or walking in whatever he has for us, or starting a business, or starting a family, or whatever it is, you know, starting a job. Let's not just be excited in the moment, but let's be people who finish well also. And then moving on, we got to read Ecclesiastes. Yikes, y'all. You know, Ecclesiastes, another hard one. This is coming from the wisest man ever, and he says everything is meaningless. And I can't wait till you read tomorrow's reading, because it ends well, guys, I promise. But what I want to focus on in Ecclesiastes for now until Monday is Ecclesiastes 3. again, you know, there's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest, etc. And so again, saying that there are seasons, and we don't want to force a season. I mean, there's a time for grief and a time to dance. I mean, I was in grief for a very long time, and I was actually on another lake when God spoke very clearly this exact verse to me, that there's a time to grieve and a time to dance, and that God has made everything beautiful in his time. And that was God telling me, you're done with grieving, move on. And so he didn't say that for quite a while because I wasn't done grieving. So again, not forcing a season. And then the last thing I want to say about Ecclesiastes until tomorrow is, you know, it's talking about in 7 the limits of human wisdom. And this is coming from the wisest man ever. He was recognizing that yes, he's wise, but there's a limit. So we are desperate for God. We can have all the puzzle pieces laid out. We can be considered an expert in our field, and yet we are still so desperate for God because we can only see so much. You know, if we're thinking about, I was talking to my high school girls about this the other night, and one of them gave a great analogy, and she said, you know, our life is like, you know, when you're on like Google Maps or something like that, your navigation system, and you only see up until the next turn, but God sees the whole, like if you pan out and see the whole route, that's what God sees. And so I thought that was such a great analogy. So Sarah Beth, if you're out there, way to go. And so, yeah, we only see, in all of our wisdom, we only see up till the next turn. So we are desperate for God's input. So that brings us to our Q&Es, questions and encouragements. Pick 1, 2, or all 3 of them. The first one is a heart check. Am I trying to awaken something too soon or force a season? If I am, then let's surrender that today because, listen, you don't know everything, and I don't know everything. You know who does? God. So surrendering, you know, if we're frustrated with timing or we're like, I'm ready to be done with this, let's surrender that and repent of those thoughts and just say, God, you know what? I'm going to trust you because I know that you're powerful. I know that your timing is perfect, and I know that you're for me. So I'm going to trust you. Or if you don't like that one, number 2, what do I need to keep doing to finish well? Is there someplace in your life where like you've kind of started lagging or you want to give up? Resubmit that to God and go, God, I just really want to finish well. I want to be a person who does what she says she's going to do and finishes well. Or the last one, number 3, surrender your own wisdom to God. Remember that Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but acknowledge him in all your ways and he'll direct your paths. And so maybe it's time for you to surrender your wisdom to God's because you need it and I need it desperately. All right, that is it. Farewell from the lake, and I will talk to you on Monday. Bye-bye.